Hey guys, and welcome back to another Warframe video where today we are going to be taking an in-depth look at my personal go-to weapon of choice for Eidolon hunting, and indeed many other people's weapon of choice, the Zenith. Now immediately I just want to put it out there that this will not serve you very well if you want to do hunts in Steel Path. You will require something with a bit more damage output, such as the Perigale, and I'm sure you'll be able to find a video out there for that. Perhaps we'll make a Steel Path hunting video at some point, we'll have to see. But for normal Eidolon hunts, the Zenith is objectively the best weapon for the job, and I do not use objectively light here. You might be thinking, surely there are weapons out there with much higher damage and are much easier to use than the Zenith, and you would be right. But when it comes to Eidolon hunts, damage isn't everything, and the Zenith's passive, which allows infinite punch through, can really help you save time during your hunts, and we'll explain why once we've gone through the build here. So this build is essentially revolving around crit damage and multi-shot. I do have a Riven mod on here, and I would highly advise you to get one of these. It will be extremely difficult for you to one-shot an Eidolon's limb, which is what we're aiming for here, without a Riven mod. So do go ahead and grab one of those. The key stats you want to be looking for on a Zenith Riven are going to be crit damage, multi-shot, crit chance, perhaps heat, as long as it's paired with multi-shot and crit damage or crit chance. That should serve you just fine. But crit damage and multi-shot are probably the two main ones that you want to be going for here, and a triple stat, crit damage, crit chance, and multi-shot Riven would probably be the ideal choice, with a negative that's not going to impact your damage so much. So mine, for example, has negative damage to Grineer. I'm not going to be shooting any Grineer, I'm only going to be shooting Eidolons, so that's not going to do me too much harm. The rest, like I said, is also geared towards crit chance, crit damage, and multi-shot, so Vital Sense, Critical Delay, Split Chamber, Amalgam Serration, again for damage, and Sprint Speed. Sprint Speed is going to help us move around in the plains, so that's why we're running that there. And then we've got Radiation on, as Radiation is the damage type that best affects Eidolons. It's going to give you a massive damage bonus. Even though we're going to be stripping all of the armor off of the Eidolon when I do my runs, this still does provide us with a damage boost, together with Prime Cryo rounds, as cold damage is also applied a damage boost also. This is also an important mod, in my opinion. This is going to tip you over the edge for how much damage you're going to be able to output, and should allow you to one-shot an Eidolon limb, which again is what we are aiming for. The arcane I've got on is Primary Deadhead. This is literally just for the negative percentage weapon recoil. If we look at our other options here, we could run Primary Frostbite, but from doing a bit of testing, you can't actually stack this up high enough for it to make any kind of impact whatsoever. So I've left that off. Primary Merciless, you can see on kill 30% damage. Again, we're not going to be getting many kills, so this doesn't make any sense. And the reload speed, we're not going to have to reload very often at all, so again, that's kind of useless also. And then, sorry, Primary Dexterity, which I haven't even maxed out on melee kill, so yeah, that's definitely not worth it either. And then for our Excellence mod here, we are running Stabilizer for the negative 60% weapon recoil. So between these two, you know, negative 50% weapon recoil and then another negative 60% weapon recoil, our gun is basically going to be a laser. We're not going to have to worry about recoil in any way, shape or form, which is really nice. So yeah. So I think what we'll do, we're not going to run through my Vault build or anything else in this video. If you want to have a look at those, you can go and have a look at my 6-cap guide video, for which I will leave a link down in the description below. But what we'll do now is we'll just hop into the plains and have a quick talk about why this weapon is so good for Eidolon hunting. Okay guys, so it's currently daytime, but right off the bat we can talk about one thing, and that is that the Zenith has a soft scope, and by that I mean you don't actually scope in to anything. It's just a bit zoomed in. So with that, you're not going to be, you know, limiting your field of view. And although that might not sound like a major advantage, it actually does, you know, prove to be quite nice when you are hunting Eidolons, to get that better field of view and to be able to see what you're doing is always very nice. Unlike if you were to use something like the Rubico or the Perigale, your field of view is much enhanced. You don't have to worry about scoping in and out. And when you're doing combos, like from your operator to get back into your Warframe and then shooting, it's really going to help you out, because you're not going to have to scope in to get a damage multiplier. That's what we've got to remember here. When you're using the Rubico or the Perigale, you need to be scoped in to get your damage multiplier. Whereas with the Zenith, if you just do that, you're going to have the same amount of damage no matter what you do. So that's important to note. So let's now roll on to why this gun is used by most Eidolon hunters. So, as you probably know, When it comes to hunting Eidolons, as soon as you get past the Terrorist, you need to go through the Gantalist and the Hydralist. And in order to do that, you come over to the Shrine, you put in the brilliant Eidolon shard that you get from the Terrorist. And then a Gantalist or Hydralist, oh dear, a Gantalist or Hydralist will then spawn at some location along this river. And there are 4 spawning spots that these Eidolons can spawn at. The first one is close spawn, that's over here on the right. So just here. The second spot is mid-spawn, just here in the middle. Let's go ahead and take out these guys before they prove to be a nuisance. So mid-spawn right here. Left spawn over here. So just over here. And then right down here, far spawn. And this is the one we're going to be talking about mainly in this video. Because if you think about the possibilities, I haven't actually done much in the way of counting how many times Eidolons spawn at these different locations, but one would assume that it's about 25% per location. So in 25% of the Gantalists or Hydralists that you spawn, they are going to spawn way down here, and they actually spawn inside this hilltop. Now that's where the Zenith passive comes into its own, because obviously with infinite punch through, you can shoot right through the floor and hit the Eidolon's limb, and we'll be taking a look at a clip of that in a second. I do want to point out right now, though, that I am not the best in the world at this, and as you can see, I'm not using any lock pins or location markers for where the Eidolons spawn. That is one tactic that you can employ. If you do have a lock pin, you can push the lock pin back into the hill to where the Eidolon's limb is, and then obviously, as soon as you hit down here, take out the Eidolon's limb using your proper, then you can just shoot straight through the floor and hit the limb immediately. But, you know, my one, I missed maybe 1 or 2 shots and then hit it. I'm still obviously just trying to get used to the landing and taking it out. Well, yeah, like I said, we'll take a look at that in a minute. But if we think about how much time we'll lose from that, and once again, we will show the time differential between, you know, actually waiting for the Eidolon to come up and being able to shoot the Eidolon through the floor. We'll see how much time we lose from waiting for the Eidolon to emerge. And you guys will see that obviously with a 25% spawn chance here, you will actually save a decent amount of time at the end of each run. So, yeah, 2 Eidolons per run, 6 Hydralists in a night, 6 runs, 2 Eidolons per run spawn around this lake. That gives you, you know, a spawn chart or spawn percentage. Let's see, so 12. A quarter of those are going to spawn down here. So you are going to get 3 long spawns in each run. And I would estimate that you're going to save between 5 and 6 seconds per long spawn. Which, you know, it might not sound like a whole lot, but if you're someone who is struggling to get 6 caps, then that might be the difference between you getting your 6th Hydralist or not getting your 6th Hydralist. So, yeah, bear that in mind when we're doing this. So I think what we'll do, we will hop into a run and we'll demonstrate that now, just showing that long spawn and shooting through the floor. We'll then compare it against a run where we wait for the Eidolon to emerge, and we'll do a timer on both. And then, yeah, you guys will see the difference and hopefully then realise why a lot of hunters like to use the Zenith over other weapons such as the Rubigo or the Perigale. So once we've done that, we'll then do a bit of a regroup and just a quick talk, and then we'll probably round out the video. So I will see you guys in a second. Okay, guys, so long spawn shield pointing straight into the ground in this kind of ditch here, I guess, and we're going to fire our proper directly at the side of that hill. That's going to insta-take down the Eidolon shield. And I do want to say right here, this is a bit of a messy takedown. My landing isn't perfect. And I take about 3 shots to actually get the limb. As you can see. There we go. And, you know, another benefit of this is that you actually get the Eidolon in a more manageable position as well. If you wait for the Eidolon to emerge and you shoot the limb on the left side, then he goes up the hill quite far. And it's tricky to get him down here to a point where we can hit him with our proper comfortably. And yeah, now I'm just going to be shooting from behind him with my proper, and that's how we're going to manage our long spawn from there on out. But you saw the time there, and now we're going to move on to a clip of a long spawn where we don't shoot the Eidolon through the floor, and yeah, we'll see the time difference. Okay guys, so hopefully as you can see there, even if you aren't very good at hitting that limb through the floor, such as myself, you saw there I was wasting quite a lot of time before I even got into position, so you could probably even get another 2.5 seconds maybe down from that. But waiting for the Eidolon to emerge, from when it spawns, that's when that time was going, by the way. I wasn't doing it from when we put the shard in, I was doing it from when the Hydralisk spawns, because sometimes, you know, the Hydralisk can spawn instantly as soon as you put the shard in, and sometimes it takes like a couple seconds. It is on a rotating cycle of, I think, 2 or 3 seconds when you put a shard in. So yeah, you can see there, from just doing, you know, shooting through the floor with the Zenith, we had about 5 seconds on that long spawn, and from waiting for it to emerge, it was around the 10-second mark. And like I said, that if you practice that over and over, and you have a lock pin in place, maybe you can get that long spawn limb breakdown time at about 3 to 4 seconds. Someone who's doing it really fast can get sub 3, but you know, I'm not there. But that's the point, right? So if you it's down to RNG how many long spawns you get in a run, but if you say you average out, you know, 3 per run, then you're looking at 15 seconds plus you can save doing that, rather than obviously shooting and wait for the Eidolon to emerge and shooting. And if you happen to get loads and loads of long spawns, then, you know, you can end up saving 40 plus seconds just doing that. So that is why Eidolon hunters prefer the Zenith. And that is basically the sole reason. You know, it's a weapon that can one-shot a limb, and it can shoot straight through the floor and hit long spawn limbs. So what I'll be doing moving forward, once I've practiced up my my long spawns, I will probably do a video, like a guide video on how to do the long spawn through the floor shot. And hopefully that'll be released in the coming weeks. But yeah, until I've done a bit more practice on it, and I've obviously got it first time every time, then we'll probably leave that to one side. But hopefully this guide or this video was informative, and it shows you, you know, the power of the Zenith, and that it can save you time in your hunts. So hopefully you can put it to good use now. But if you did like, then please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. I'll see you later, guys.